Hi, everyone. My name is George Hashemi. I'm a content creator for Jetset Times, and welcome back to Deep Dive, the show where we discuss everything in the travel industry and issues that aren't nearly talked about enough. Today, I'm really excited to bring you guys this episode. It's one that I hold very dear to my heart because we're talking about the LGBTQ community, specifically how they can stay safe while they're traveling. I'm very humbled to introduce Stefan and Sebastian. They're partners and creators of the blog Nomadic. They used to work in London in corporate jobs in law and finance. And then one day in 2014, they just decided that wasn't enough. They left their jobs and their lives in London behind to travel in Asia for over 18 months. Since then, they've continued traveling and documenting their experiences and the different gay communities they've interacted with. They are truly trailblazers for our community, and I can't wait to hear what they have to say. So thank you guys so much for coming and talking with me.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for that wonderful introduction.
No problem. Yeah. Thank you. So obviously, you guys decided to leave everything behind in 2014. What was that like? What made you guys decide to take that plunge?
So we met in 2009, and I was a lawyer. Sebi was working as a computer programmer in the finance industry, and he had had enough of it. He was fed up of it, and I'd hit a sort of ceiling in my career. In that I just wasn't enjoying it and wasn't fussed about going further. And about 2 years into our relationship, Sebi sat me down and said, look, I don't want to stay in London forever, Stefan. I want to travel around the world. I want to live in Spain. I want to move to South America. I want to see the world. And that sort of kicked in the idea that let's get out of London. Let's save up for a big trip first to see how we tolerate each other, whether we survive it. Because, couples traveling together for that long a time is a big test. And so from a few years we survived. Yes yes we survived.
Clearly you guys survived.
Surviving. After a few years of saving and planning, in 2014 we quit our jobs, we gave notice, and we started what was meant to be a sabbatical in Asia for a year, and then we were going to see what we could do. Sebi had the idea of working, being digitally nomadic, working for what created websites, and he could have a business anywhere in the world as long as he had internet. And I was looking at teaching online, but we started Nomadic Boys as a way to keep friends and family updated with our travels and share our stories. And about a year in, it grew so much. We got a lot of traffic. The social media just blew up, and we realized, hang on, we can do something with this. So from then, it evolved into the full-time vocation that it is now, and we live off it now. It's our main job for both of us.
So when you guys started it, it was almost more of like a personal thing that became this like huge public space.
Absolutely,
it was that. Wow. My mom said to me, "Okay, you can leave, but you've got to make sure that I know where you are every day." So
you just saw her walking back there, right? That was his mom.
So it was really her checking up on you guys and you making sure she knew you were safe.
Yeah. But then very quickly, we actually started talking about our experience meeting locals in places where, there's not much resources online about what the gay life is like there. And the first one was actually in Mongolia, where we visited the only gay bar in Mongolia. And that got picked up by a lot of publications at the time. And that's where it really started to grow and become what it is now, our travel blog. Because the first post the first few posts that we did for family and friends, they were, photos and where we are now and her saying hello and things like that. It's when we started talking about more serious stuff that it started to become more interesting, and even for us as well.
Yeah.
And kind of getting into that and talking about safety, it's no secret that for our community, there's so many places and countries where it's legal or criminal to be gay. So how do you guys kind of navigate those spaces when you're there?
It's a tricky one. Yeah. It's one thing for a country which is open, as Spain, USA, Canada, most of Western Europe is, and then there's places which is completely illegal to be gay, the extreme, Saudi Arabia, Iran, etc. Then you've got ones which have an anti-gay law in place, but it's just there because no one can be bothered to do anything politically about it. So Sri Lanka has an anti-gay law, or Maldives has one, Malaysia does. But the locals will laugh at you if you talk about it, because they'll just say, well, this is just there because the British had it in the 1800s and no one did anything about it. But then you've got the ones with like Russia and sadly Poland, Hungary going that direction, where they actually have, and Lithuania as well. I say that because it's an EU country. They have they don't have an anti-gay law, but they have a law that says anything that promotes gay propaganda, anything that promotes the lifestyle of homosexuality is banned and illegal. And then of course that's used to target the LGBTQ community, as we hear a lot about in Russia. Now, how we deal with that is, before we did go to such places, we were quite concerned. Particularly Malaysia, Indonesia. Sebi said to me, we should be a bit careful here. We should perhaps remove the word gay from our website.
Yeah, we were
careful what we post online. And we were quite tentative and okay, save that for after we've left. That was our first anti-gay country we went to. In Russia, we were okay, because remember, Russia doesn't actually have an anti-gay law in place. It's just got some nasty laws that allow bullies to get away with targeting the LGBTQ community, which is kind of different. I'm not defending it, it's awful, but in Russia, we surprisingly had a great time. There is a massive gay community in Moscow and the gay scene there, which shocked us. But it's repressed, of course.
The gay community is very underground. Yes. They just don't obviously show themselves.
Yes.
There's no PDAs or anything like that. And I remember our first time going there, I was so scared, because of all the press, what you could hear in the media, which is true, these things are happening. So I was really worried about crossing the border and ending up there and say, people are going to see that we're gays and we're going to get beaten up and things like that. It's not exactly like that. It is not that. We didn't have that experience at all. And we made a lot of gay friends there and it was great. It's still awful that they can't live the way we can live in the UK or Spain or anywhere else in Western Europe. But there is a bigger community there.
Mm. And you guys have kind of talked about when you travel, you sometimes go back into the closet. Can you kind of explain that a little bit? I think that's such an interesting concept.
So when we started our big trip in Asia, we started with the Trans-Siberian through Russia. And I'm more the adventurous one. It's the sort of stuff I love doing. He likes to lie on a beach in the Seychelles and do luxury and not moving out. I like adventure. So I was one who's pushing for that.
Not only that.
When I'm exaggerating, he doesn't just like that. But the point is, when we went into Russia the first time, Seb, I'd been before, but Seb was really, really scared. And he said, we are not going to book a double bed in a hotel. We'll book single beds because we don't want the receptionist to call the police on us. They don't do that, but that's what was the psychology in our minds. Mm-hmm. We're not going to go to a gay bar or gay club because we read stories in the press that the police raid them. It happened once or twice. It doesn't. Our local friends there said, come, it'll be fine, but we didn't. And generally, what we got a lot of is, you're brothers. And we just let them believe that to avoid problems. Mm-hmm. We got that a lot across China, across Russia, across lots of places in Asia. And in the more homophobic countries, we just let them, giggled along with them. And we didn't say, no, we're actually... Well,
I would say it's like any couple, straight or gay. If you walk in the street or you meet some strangers, you're not going to go straight away and say, we're a couple. And they're not going to ask you if you're a couple of brothers and sisters or friends. It's none of their business. And that's the view we have on things. If we start meeting someone and we get close to this person, then we can get into more personal stuff, our relationship. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, it's none of people's business to know if we're a couple or brothers or friends or whatever. Mm-hmm. But in the hotels, we make a point that we're a couple. In a way, the blog has really helped us being more proud and showing that we actually get coupled, and this is what we want when we go to a hotel. So we always, I do the research a lot, and I just love planning, when we go traveling somewhere, about researching about hotels and stuff. But we always ask ahead, and if we don't know, in which country, in countries where it's not so well accepted to be gay, we always ask, I call, I send emails, and make sure that it's actually okay for us. And that's because it's safe. It's important as well for our readers to know where it's safe for them to go and stay when they travel.
And I know that there have been times where once I was traveling in Morocco and I found myself kind of deepening my voice or muting my clothing, maybe not directly looking at men as much. Have you guys ever found yourself doing that or
Yes,
anything like that?
Margaret Thatcher, awful woman, of course, but she's always this is a terrible thing to say, but role model for voice, because she was a woman who came to politics in a male-dominated environment. And this is more from the Meryl Streep movie I'm getting this. And she said that when she had to deepen her voice to be more authoritative. And I always channel that when I'm trying to straighten up, like exactly like you just said.
I think you have to be aware of your surroundings, where you are. If you're in company of people that you trust, then you can let yourself go. And when I drink, I've started to become very camp, and I love it. And I'm starting like beats and having my cocktails, and I really like it, and that's who I am, and I just love it. But obviously I'm not going to do this in the middle of the night in streets where I'm not feeling so safe, and you have to be careful all the time when you travel. It's not just for gay people, it's for everyone. You know, if you don't know the place, you just have to be aware of your whereabouts and always look behind you. You know?
So obviously, like, being aware of your surroundings and stuff. And have you guys ever had a moment where you felt really unsafe? Could you explain that a little bit, or what that was like?
Lebanon, We went to Lebanon for my birthday 2 years ago, pre-COVID, and great city, Beirut. This is before the problems now. I mean, now Lebanon's in a complete mess with the economic problems, but it's a beautiful city. Really lovely people, lovely food. We had a great time. But then, as we were leaving, we were there also with a campaign with a hotel. So we posted stuff during our trip on our social media with gay hashtags, and it was obviously gay photos because we were a couple. As we were leaving at the immigration desk to get our checkout stamp to fly back to Cyprus, the guy stopped us and said, "You're blacklisted." And he said that to Sebastian as well. And I remember, we're not, I'm Stefan Orestes, British passport. He's Sebastian Chaniak, French passport, two completely unrelated passports. There's no similarity. So by coincidence, right? It wasn't a coincidence that both names are blacklisted. And then they pulled us aside and took us to the room, and they were interrogating us, saying, "What are you doing in Lebanon? We shouldn't be here. You're not allowed to come here again. You're blacklisted." I'm like, "Well, dude, we were let in fine. What's going on?" He said, no, you shouldn't have been here. You shouldn't be. They wouldn't say why.
Wow.
I think you would guess why. Because why would the two of us, out of all those people there, be?
I mean, the thing is, we were collaborating as well with some businesses there.
Yes.
And I don't know, maybe something, leaked somehow. We were posting stuff online as well. And then we were thinking maybe that's that. Are they monitoring? We don't know.
They are monitoring internet there.
They are monitoring now, but at the time we did not. And Lebanon is supposedly like the gay mecca of the Middle East. It's one of the gay-friendliest countries in the Arab world. When obviously it's still have a lot of work to do, but that's the reputation that Lebanon has. So we didn't think that this would happen to us.
And then a few months after we left, and we spoke to our agents, embassies, Britain and French, and they asked questions. They couldn't get anything out of it. But then a few months afterwards, there was another gay blogger one from Iraq, one from Tunisia. They had exactly the same problem upon leaving. They'd gone there as part of a LGBT conference. So again, another public event. And upon leaving, those respective bloggers were pulled aside at immigration and had the same issue. Your name is blacklisted. You shouldn't be here. You're not allowed to come back. So at the time, we were shit scared. We were terrified.
Yeah.
Hell's gonna happen. We're gonna be arrested. We're gonna chuck in some
God.
Beirut prison.
Yeah.
Get out of this country. I want to leave
All
now.
the scenarios were going in my head so fast, and I was like,
I can't even
we got on that plane.
I can't even imagine what I would do.
God.
And remember, they were shouting at us, and then they were shouting at each other in Arabic. So we had no idea what was being said. So until we were sitting on that flight, and we thought, what if they run to the gate and say, "Oh, Stefan Reyes, Sebastian Janet, come to the front of the plane." We're just terrified that the plane took off, and we felt this release.
Yeah, like a breath.
Yes, and when we got back home, we were walking in Cyprus, an EU country, and we just felt this freedom, this comfort that we don't feel in a country like Lebanon. Because it's still dodgy there with LGBT rights. We're constantly looking behind your back. Am I suspected of being too gay? Should I deepen my voice? There's all that. In Cyprus, we didn't have that. And I
No,
remember
because it's
feeling
and Cyprus is a very conservative country, but it's one thing to have a society who's not accepting homosexuality, and another thing that the government is actually condemning it.
Yes.
And that's scary, because that means the law is not on your side and will not protect you if something happens to you. There's nothing that anyone can do about it. And that's scary.
And you just kind of mentioned, like, you walked in Cyprus and you felt this freedom. So how do you go to these spaces where, like, you don't have those freedoms and still able to enjoy yourself? How can you walk along the street and enjoy yourself when you know that you might not be protected and you have to hide such a huge part of your identity?
A few glasses of wine. I mean, in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, another country, it's not at all on par with Lebanon. There is an anti-gay law, but it's never been enforced, or hasn't been for 20 years. Big gay community again in Kuala Lumpur. We had a lot of gay friends there, and there was a gay scene, and we were out in the streets with them, and it was absolutely fine. And
it doesn't,
it depends on the place.
It doesn't feel like you're always hide it. It's not that. It's you will have moments where you will be in companies of people or places where you will feel safe. And a lot of countries like that. I mean, everywhere, every single country we visited, there was a gay scene, there were gay locals, and they were so eager to show us around. And it was great. Even though, homosexuality is not so well accepted in these places, there's still a gay community. I mean, it's not because, they may be 20 years behind us in terms of accepting it. It doesn't mean that there's nothing. 20 years ago, there was a big gay scene in the UK or places in France. And that's why I always feel like, okay, maybe I can't walk hand in hand in the street with my boyfriend, but I know that we'll have a very good time with my friends and going to the places that they know where I can be myself.
Yes. And also, in big parts of London and Paris, you wouldn't dare go out gaying it up, holding hands. It depends where you are. It could be in many big cities in the Western world. Sorry, Matthias, I interrupted you.
Well, I was just going to say, how do you go about finding those gay scenes in countries where it's not as accepted?
So in Moscow, I had a friend who I knew from when I went before, and he introduced us to friends, and that was where we did. And then across our travels in Russia, in Yekaterinburg, our friends sat us down and said,
in the middle of Siberia,
our gay friend Alex, he said to us, I was looking on Grindr, guys, and I couldn't see you, and we said, well, we don't use Grindr. We're a monogamous couple. We don't need it. He said, no, but here you need it. There's no gay bars here. There's no gay clubs. Grindr is the scene. This is how we suggest you get, if you're traveling.
So it's more of a communication tool than a hookup app.
Totally.
I mean,
that is so fascinating.
Yeah, it is as well.
Yeah. But
you will have
I'm just shocked to see that people also use it to communicate, besides just wanting to go out and hook up with someone, but to maybe meet other people.
Yeah. Well, because think about it, you can't, no bar, there's no club, there's no area. So where do you find your people? Where do you connect with your tribe? Grindr, Hornet, all the gaps, they're great for that. We learned that traveling in Russia. So from our across our travels in Russia, a lot in China, a lot in Malaysia, a lot in Indonesia, etc., we use Grindr to meet with gay locals to connect with them. It was the best thing we did, because
oh my god, it changed everything in the travels.
They showed us the gay scene. We learned about the LGBT life there. It was invaluable.
Wow, that is so fascinating. Oh my god.
It's fascinating. Going off of that, same reaction. We had the same reaction. We're from a whole other thing.
I've only ever seen it in one light, so to think that it's like almost being helpful to these communities in some way instead of damaging, which it is a lot of the times, it's really great to see. Kind of going off of that, was there any country or place that like had the most surprising gay scene for you guys?
Malaysia had a big one, and Singapore, because it has an anti-gay law in Singapore. Because they've got so many big companies there, Google and the big finance companies, they're all based there. There's a lot of money there. And they sponsor a lot of gay events. So there is a thriving gay scene. and they have one of the biggest gay events in Asia called Pink Dot, amongst other things. So a country that with this anti-gay law, you would expect it to be quite repressed, like in Russia, but no, it's one of the biggest things. And I say that because in Kuala Lumpur, that we went to a gay bar with a drag show, and we were talking to the drag queen, and she was saying how, oh yeah, this is nice for me, but the big time for me is to go to Singapore. It was all about going to Singapore to perform there, because that's where the scene is more, well, I guess more lucrative as well, but more, it's just bigger. Now that surprised me, given their anti-gay law.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So it seems though, even though they have those laws, sometimes places are still thriving, like despite the oppression, I guess.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
And then,
Lebanon has one of the biggest gay clubs.
Really?
Middle East.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
The only thing is that you can't kiss in there, and they're very serious about it.
Yes.
That's very interesting. A gay club that you can't kiss in.
Because they don't want to attract homophobic attention. They're doing it to protect us.
Yeah. No, it's a great tactic.
We were dancing, and I don't think I even kissed you, but I think we were just close like this. And the bouncer came up. He was sweet but firm, and said, "No, guys, you mustn't do that." And I've never experienced that before.
So it's this space where it's safe for gay people, but at the same time, you can't be too gay for your safety, which is so interesting.
Yeah, a lot of East Europe actually is like that. The face control you hear a lot in Soviet countries, in Georgia. Yes, Moscow had a lot of that. We went to in Georgia, the country. There's a big gay club there called Bassiani, and in Tbilisi, the capital, and there's a lot of gay bars there as well. And a lot of them have a strict, stern-looking Soviet guy at the front door who's a door staff, and he scans the crowd and will only let you in if he's certain you're not going to make trouble. You're, genuinely gay, but not a,
you have to sign up in beforehand as well.
For Bassiani. And the trick is, don't go there in groups. Go in twos or threes, and don't smile. Just look a bit, serious. And then but it was for our own protection, because there's a big anti-gay stance in society. So when you look at that, but it is quite, we're not used to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've never experienced anything like that, so it's really interesting to hear. Obviously, you guys have this insanely successful platform. You're basically trailblazers. I mean, what does it feel like to have all of this love from gay communities around the globe? Did you ever expect this, or expect any of this to come out of your travels?
No, not at all. Never. It started as a mom, dad, we're doing this, we're okay. Here's a photo of Seb stuffing his face again on Russian food, and that's how it started. And this thing of Sebi stuffing his face in Russia turned into it is now. So we're very humbled by it. We love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's great to hear. It is inspiring. Well, and then I'm sure there's going to be a lot of gay men and boys watching this. Is there anything you would like to say to them? Maybe any advice or something if they're nervous about traveling?
Yeah, but I'd say if you travel for the first time, going abroad can be scary, actually, especially for gay travelers. You never know what you're going to get. If you're really scared of traveling, you can join gay groups. And that's a great way to experience abroad countries that you might not be comfortable going there on your own because you don't speak the language or you don't know how to plan it. And there's a lot of companies out there who have gay groups, and they're fun. They're a lot of fun. I mean, on top of my head, At Adventure is one of them. They're great. He Travel and Brandy. There's a lot of different companies who organize gay groups. That's a great way to get there. The second thing I would say to them, if they are scared, they can just Google Nomadic Boys, and we will make sure to reassure them, because we have tons of information about so many places that we've been to, and it's not that difficult to plan your own trip. And if you go to the right places and if you read the right information, you'll have a fun and safe trip for sure.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that sounds fantastic. And I'm sure the next time I'm traveling, I will be more than happy to reach out to you guys with any tips and advice. But that's all I have for you guys today. I mean, thank you so much for coming and talking to me. Truly, I learned so much. I'm still shocked by that Grindr thing. I think it's so fantastic, so interesting. So
Yes.
yeah, thank you. And that was Deep Dive. Thank you everyone at home for watching, and we'll see you guys next week for next episode. But thank you again, Stefan and Sebastian. It was truly, truly great to talk to both of you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.